This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Well, good morning and welcome to the aforementioned show. Jeff Beals at your service. We are brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. This is the only show in the metro area that focuses on the growth and development of your favorite city. And I'll tell you what, if you don't currently subscribe to the Grow Omaha newsletter, you're going to want to get on that. In fact, from now through March 10th, we have a promotion going. Anyone who subscribes to the newsletter between now and March 10th will be entered into a drawing for a $500 gift card at Nebraska Crossing. All you have to do is to go to growomaha.com, click on Market Report on the navigation bar, and if you put your name in there, you will be in the drawing.
And we have two of them.
And that's the man that I was just about ready to introduce. That voice there is Trenton Magid, a legendary real estate deal maker. Good morning, Trenton.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jeff.
So did you read our restaurant review this week?
I have not, but I'm savoring it.
It was delicious. The place is called, I think it's pronounced Too Les Jus, but it's...
like Too Legit to Quit?
Too Les Jus. And Sarah Baker Hansen writes these restaurant reviews for us. And they're every other week. They're brought to you by Cheer Athletics, which is the nation's #1 all-star gym, Omaha location in Papillion, Highway 50 and 370. And at any rate, this week she talks about Too Les Jus. It's a French bakery from South Korea, very specialized.
Yeah.
And there are thousands of these locations around the world. They're international. And I've been to it several times. In fact, Sarah says in the article, 1,650 worldwide locations of Too Les Jus, only 70 in the United States. Ours opened about, maybe half a year ago?
Yeah, I would say that.
Something like that. It's right next to the East Charleston Steakhouse, the one by the Crossroads. And so check out the review. If you want to read it, just go to growomaha.com and click on Eats, E-A-T-S, Eats on the navigation bar, and you can see that review and all the others. And go give Too Les Jus a try.
No one can accuse us of picking restaurants for her. She does it herself independently. She pays for the food. She goes in there like any other customer, and she tells it how it is, what she thinks of it. And she's very educated on the culinary scene, and sometimes it comes back to bite her and us.
But she is the #1 food critic and food reviewer in Nebraska, and she is part of the Grow Omaha team. It's Grow Omaha Eats, brought to you by Cheer Athletics. Well, Trenton, let's bring on our contributors that we have with us today.
Esteemed panel.
Sitting next to Trenton is Brad Williams of Brad Williams Photography and E&A Consulting. Good morning, Brad.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming back, and thanks for everything you do for Grow Omaha.
He's also very involved in our social media.
Yep, does a lot of the Grow Omaha social media. And sitting next to Brad is Jorge Soto Longo, broker at NAI NP Dodge and member of the Omaha Planning Board. Good morning, Jorge.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So when Jorge and Brad come into the studio with us, it can only mean one thing. It's the call-in show. Get your dialing fingers ready. 402-558-1110, 402-558-1110. After the news, we will be taking your calls. Anything you want to know about Omaha growth and development, just go ahead and dial in and ask. And if we don't know, we'll make up a really good sounding answer. But first, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. They know mortgages. They've been knowing mortgages for over 30 years. And it is the second half of February now. And so if you are thinking about possibly buying a house, you want to be armed for the potential conflict that is the house buying rat race with a pre-approval letter from Eagle Mortgage. So talk to them. Meet with one of their mortgage brokers. They'll help you figure out what is right for you financially. They can talk about conventional, FHA, VA loans, whatever appropriate. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. All right, guys, let's get into the news of the week. The first story, a Metropolitan Area Planning Agency released the results of a study. They were considering where along Interstate 80 would be the right spot for another Interstate 80 interchange in Sarpy County. We need another one. Frankly, you could probably make an argument we need 2 or 3 interchanges.
This has been going on for at least 10 years.
We've been talking about this forever, but not a surprise. The planning study assessed that the 192nd Street crossing of Interstate 80 would be the most advantageous for an interchange. I think you could also look at 204th and I-80 might be a good one. That confuses some people because the Nebraska Highway 31 exit by Nebraska Crossing is actually 216th there. Yep. The highway jogs to the west through Gretna. So some people think 204th would be a good one. Some people think we should maybe have one at Flug Road, closer to the Platte River. But at any rate, guys, this not a big surprise that they chose 192nd, but construction is probably nowhere near starting on this anytime soon. The study also indicated that we need improvements, maybe some capacity increases and traffic flow improvements for the existing interchanges at Highway 370. I can attest to that. That one's tough. And Highway 31 needs some improvements as well. But we'll see. I think continued growth in western Sarpy County, which is going to happen, really does require the addition of some interchanges there.
We were talking about this earlier. I think, like you said, a lot of people assumed this was where it was going to go because, the way they've lined up 192nd and Giles and 180th and Giles. And then also, there's a Hy-Vee at 192nd that's nearly constructed and all that dirt moving on the west side of 192nd, 370. There's just a lot of activity already going on, and the sooner they get this in, it'll be better.
Brad, what about the sewer infrastructure and the watershed? There's a lot of talk a little bit as an engineering firm. Talk about how this road expansion will be needed as the development's opening up.
Even as far as the access, or
just there's gonna be a lot more developable ground when it has sewer.
So the sewer's under construction now. If you drive along Platteview Road, you'll see pipes laying everywhere and going in the ground, huge pipes. And there's people waiting to jump on that ground as soon as there's sewer access. You can't build a neighborhood without sewer. And so as soon as that's in, I think the development in Sarpy County is going to take off even more than it already is.
We're selling farms without sewer that people just anticipating sewer coming. They'll keep it as farms for maybe 8-9 years and then develop it.
Retail follows rooftops, but none of it happens without a good sewer. We know that for sure. Next item on the news, the City of Omaha and Metropolitan Utilities District have reached an agreement resolving utility relocation costs associated with our future downtown to midtown streetcar. This was a sticking point for a while, fellows. MUD will reprioritize work within the streetcar project area and contribute $7.6 million toward utility replacement and reload costs, which are currently estimated to be approximately $20 million. The city will fund the remaining costs. And so this means that one of the last barriers between where we are now and having a beautiful streetcar system in 2026 has been taken care of. Great sign. I say kudos to the leaders in City Hall and at MUD for coming together and figuring out something that allows a very important project to move forward.
Absolutely. And I think it's necessary. Omaha's always been about compromise. The stakeholders get together with Public Works. They get together with MUD, utilities, and it's a great sign.
And now we can start to anticipate maybe some big investments happening along the streetcar line. Shoot, they already have. I mean, a lot of the things that are underway in that corridor were done with the hope and assumption that we would have a streetcar line. But I think now you're going to see more and more mixed use and multifamily projects be proposed and get started along that line. It'll be fun to watch it.
Remember, Jay Otto talked about the 30-30-30, 30,000 jobs. What was the other thing?
30,000 residents.
Yeah. 30,000 residents within 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm particularly interested in what's going to happen at the former Mutual site. I mean, I feel like that's almost the biggest piece of land there that needs to be repurposed, and it's right on the line. I think we're going to get probably some amazing announcements in the next 2 to 3 years, even just for that site specifically.
There's so much land there, and like you say, right along the streetcar line, and it's halfway between downtown and the Med Center. So it's prime real estate. Speaking of that area, this is some good news. The former Mutual of Omaha employee parking lot located at 36th and Farnham Street. So this is directly north of Crescent Moon Ale House, if you can picture that, is now open for public parking. It's about 300 stalls, $5 a day. So that will provide some parking relief for that area.
Parking back there?
Yeah, surface parking up there.
Okay. Is it that big?
It's a big lot. It's a big lot. It stretches all the way from Dodge up to Crescent Moon, so it's a pretty big lot. I think it's going to be great for the businesses there. I know that as soon as we lost that surface lot where that 8-9-story project is going, I know a lot of those restaurants felt that as soon as that started and closed. So this will be a big relief.
That's a big crane over there, isn't it? That big blue.
Amazing, yeah.
They're talking about a 9-story mixed-use building directly west of the Kempton Cottonwood Blackstone Hotel that would have a city-owned parking garage on the lower level, street-level retail, and a bunch of multifamily residential units.
It's amazing what they're doing on just one city block with that building. And can you imagine if you applied that to the entire Mutual campus?
Well, yeah, and that's supposedly, Brad, what the streetcar's going to do for us. When you have that, you can have that kind of density there,
And height.
and it's extremely efficient.
It's really a lesson in density and also new zoning ordinances that are allowing less setbacks and more units and more density. I mean, you're going to start to see these buildings looking different than Omaha's ever been able to have them before because of the TOD, for example, the TOD zoning designation,
transit-oriented development,
for example. That's something that is it's a whole new set of rules that developers can use to drive density in the urban core, and I think it's working.
Just wait till we start getting autonomous cars where the car just drops you off and parks 3 inches away from another car waiting to pick somebody else up.
Yeah, that's right. Then we don't even need parking garages anymore, probably, I guess.
Yeah, and then we'll turn all of our parking garages into like vertical agricultural places or something like that where we grow crops. So we have all sorts of ideas around here. But speaking of tall buildings, 14th Street is going to close on Monday for about 3 years because it's needed. That space is needed for Mutual of Omaha skyscraper construction. And so the building itself will be on the block bounded by 14th, 15th, Farnham and Douglas, but the lot directly to the east is vacant, and that's going to be used as staging area. They'll close 14th Street so the heavy equipment can move back and forth, Brad, and that'll allow crews to be more efficient building something tall in a tight space.
Yeah, if you've been down there this week, a whole bunch of job site trailers started showing up, so that's a pretty good sign that work's about to begin. And
you can be assured that Brad Williams Photography will cover it all.
From the sky, from the ground, from every part.
Yeah, I've actually been down there. A lot of the renderings you see, not all of them, but most of the renderings you see, I took the pictures for those. So I've already been down there covering it. It's been cool to get the before pictures. So I'll have a nice before and after when it's all done.
So will they still stage on that lot to the east of where the building is supposed to go?
Yes. Yeah. There'll be a lot of equipment staged there. And then with 14th Street being closed, they'll freely be able to take construction equipment back and forth. So if you think about it, they'll have a tremendous advantage having that extra space than the construction crew did that built the First National Tower 20 years ago because there were buildings all the way around it. It was a much, much tighter spot.
And then the idea is to develop that sometime. Mutual has the first right to develop that other lot.
That lot to the east, and time will tell. We'll see how that all happens. And that's your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com, or you can stop in the office at 114th and Davenport. We're going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, it's time to take your phone calls. This is one of our phone-in caller welcomed shows. The phone number is 402-558-1110. That's 402-558-1110. That brings you right into the KFAB Penthouse studio. We want your calls. Anything related to Omaha growth and development, we will take our best stab at it and answer those questions. Or if there's just a thought you have on your mind or something, why doesn't Omaha have this or why doesn't Omaha have that? Maybe we can take a stab at that too. So call us. You're listening to Jeff Beals, Trenton Magid, Brad Williams, and Jorge Sotolongo on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment. News Radio 1110 KFAB.
So far we have 0 calls.
No.
Yeah, I thought that was strange.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Usually, we'll get,
You know-
usually we have a couple that queue up. What's this?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Access to all of the best free curated playlists.
It's a fish leaving the water, like walking out of the ocean. The real reason evolution started is don't walk away when I'm talking to you.
I sent it to you.
Can't.
That is
I can't take
Carlos and
I don't
Tim
know.
Evans.
Become an air breather.
And they're in
You're so
Miami
miserable,
now,
I'm gonna become
looking
an
at
air
this
breather.
pizza place down there that has the
What
same
happens if
oven
no one
that they
calls
get
in?
and ovens come from it.
Then we just have to make stuff up.
Keep doing the show.
Then we say
That'll
things
be
like,
like-
Put you in another room.
then we say,
Re-up
Jack,
yeah.
pizza
That has
and
never
salads
happened,
and
right?
cocktails.
it's happened a couple times. Yeah, we'll say something like, Jack just called in, didn't want to go on air, but he had a question about. So if we do have no one,
It's not the end of the world.
what's that?
It's amazing.
It's not the end of the world. The misperception is that if you don't get any calls, no one's
Remain good.
listening.
I mean, I think it's probably been a little up and down.
No,
for them, but
it doesn't mean no one's
seem to be
listening. It just
really
means no one wants to call
high
you.
right now.
Or no one has
Quality.
questions.
Kind of reminds me of high school.
I actually
What's that?
don't go ever, but
You should be able to
from what
expect
people
it,
I
but
see
you got
people
2
reviewing
minutes.
it and just anecdotally.
It just means no one wants to call me, just like everybody.
Heaphy Hoffman worked
Was on.
So if-
I just saw that Tom Heaphy passed away.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. Tom Heaphy.
How old is he? I wonder
93.
what mortuary he goes to.
I was gonna say.
And Roeder Mortuary is taking care of
You've
it.
been to Dave Such?
Dwark.
And John A. Gentleman is taking care of
Actually,
the arrangement.
Dwark is part of the Heaphy
Oh, are they?
group.
You follow this?
That'd be kind of weird, like if you're a 93-year-old mortician and you die, and like all these people you trained have to like prepare you for this
Just
job.
like what's
Yeah,
going
don't fuck
on.
me up.
You better remember everything I taught you.
he was
Has it?
is that his? Okay.
Nuh-uh.
I heard another voice.
He's been
I've known Tom since I was
Lifeline is pretty
a
easy to help
kid.
protect yourself. If you become a victim, we'll work to
Holy
fix
cross.
it.
Oh, yeah.
For all
I
transactions.
think the original
Kind of awesome.
and my
And then
great-grandfather
sometimes
were
like spotlight,
buddies.
just a single spot.
A very, very, very long time ago.
Yes. So Tom's age, 93.
I think it's really great.
The original,
honestly.
yeah,
It's
the
kind of
original
become
Heaphy and my
a little bit of a
great-grandfather were
go-to
buddies.
for
Yeah.
me, sometimes.
Supposedly.
That's what's quickly what's happening. That's kind of great.
Oh, okay.
She's the one that highlighted the new wine bar.
Good family. I mean, yeah, that's been a great business. Yeah. Been around for-
I think everybody in town uses Heaphy on Saturday.
Everyone in town has had a relative processed at Heaphy Hoffman.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've never eaten there. I know.
They have a Nashville.
I know I have.
They
A lot of our relatives,
June's
they
out in Elkhorn.
took care of my grandma.
All I had here
They
is
took care of my grandma.
they took care of my mom and dad.
Yeah. I think they took care of my grandma too.
Omaha Chef House. They have
My
a
other
bunch of
grandson,
these.
Tom A.
He
Gentleman.
was 93.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
Dan
I
Hobbins
remember
did a
when I
whole
was a kid,
tour of
my
the white
dad
Nashville hot chickens in
used
town
to
and picked
let
the
this
best one.
be.
What was
He
his
picked his was sauce by Alfaro.
My mom would be in
which I think is
that
out in
so they
Louisville.
were all.
Oh, here we go.
Did they move?
No one calls you going to make up something, okay?
Something like that, maybe.
You guys ready for a makeup call?
All of our hosts' social media links can be found right now on
All right, here we go.
KFAB.com.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Maggot at your service. And we are joined today by Brad Williams of Brad Williams Photography and E&A Consulting, as well as Jorge Sotolongo from NAI NP Dodge. And it is our once every couple of months call-in show. So anyone who has any questions about Omaha growth and development, this is your chance to ask them. The phone number is 402-558-1110. That's 402-558-1110. We also want to put a shout out for Dingman's Collision Center. Dingman's is the metro area's #1 auto body store. And they're one of those places that, you know, you don't wake up in the morning saying, oh, I hope I get to go to Dingman's today, because usually you have to be in an accident for that to happen, unless you use their mechanical repair services. But let's say it does happen. Sometimes things happen, right? Go to Dingman's. They'll take care of you. I know a few years ago I was in an accident, got hit from the back left side, really just kind of messed up that car. Dingman's Collision Center had it running just like it was new, like it never even happened.
Let's say you have a domestic dispute and you go into your garage and you have a dented hood.
I don't know if necessarily Dingman's wants us to take that approach for their marketing, but you can go with it if you want.
Say you pissed off your neighbor.
Maybe we should go back to regularly scheduled programming.
Okay.
Okay, it's the call-in show, 402-558-1110. We did have one caller that was a little bit bashful during the break and didn't want to go on air, and he wanted to ask about the Mercantile Project downtown. So the Mercantile Project is the north side of the old ConAgra campus, okay? And if you've been down in that area, you've noticed a very impressive 5-story building that is like 3 blocks long or something like that. It's got to be one of the biggest, longest buildings we've ever constructed.
It's huge.
Yeah. And so this person said, what's going on there? What's going on into that building and all that sort of thing? I can tell you that the residential units inside that building are going to be pretty close to opening, I think as early as this spring, if I remember correctly.
They've got a hidden parking garage behind it, right?
Yeah, really, really hidden. So the parking garage is in the middle. The apartments are kind of like a liner around it. Heavy amenities. Flagship Restaurant Group is going to supposedly put in 3 of their concepts. And I've been told that these concepts aren't necessarily ones that are already in Omaha, even though Flagship Restaurant Group is headquartered here.
Right. And they're the ones behind Blue, which I think they have probably 30, maybe more around the country now. They keep opening them up if you look at their Facebook page. They've got Plank down there. They bought the northwest corner where Wheatfields was, 1202 Howard Street. We don't know what's going in there yet. The Blue's next door to it. And they have Roja out west.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Flagship Commons at the Westroads.
Yeah, they run a heck of a restaurant company.
So they have 3 concepts going in there. Also in that building, it's our understanding that's where Tupelo Honey Cafe is going to go. It's a southern comfort food restaurant. And then we've been hearing rumblings about a hotel and some multifamily buildings. Plans call for a mass timber office building at 8th and Farnham.
Yep.
And so that's the latest that we have. I don't know, Brad, is anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's pretty much just what I've heard.
Okay, well, great. Well, we appreciate that. Now we're going to go to a couple of live callers. And our first one is Kay, who has a question about the Westroads. Good morning, Kay. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Hi there.
Hi.
And what's your question, Kay?
Oh, I'm wondering, what are we going to get another department store in what was previously Yonkers at the Westroads?
Okay, so Kay wants to know about a department store that was previously Yonkers at the Westroads. There has been a lot of talk over the last few years about Dillard's possibly moving in from Oakview, and we've heard that from a number of different sources. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Dillard's, neither Dillard's nor the Westroads have publicly confirmed that's the case, but there's been a lot of talk about that. So that's our anticipation, but nothing's been officially announced.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I really would like another department store in that area. So, but thank you for taking my call.
Okay, we appreciate it, Kay. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. And now we're going to go, before we go break for the news, Donna, who has a question about 180th and Pacific. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. I have been hearing about the streetcar, and I have no car of my own. And I'm trying to figure out how this could help me at 180th and Pacific area.
You know, it's the likelihood that the streetcar would ever go to 180th and Pacific Street is pretty slim. There would have to be tremendous increases in density and population growth in order for that to happen. But the question that Donna brings up, guys, is a common one, and that is, if I live way out in West Omaha and I don't really go downtown, how does this thing help me? I'll take first stab at it, then some of you may want to chime in as well. I see the streetcar as something that enhances the overall quality of life in Omaha, and it allows us to, as Jorge was saying earlier, more densely develop a part of town that already has great infrastructure and the ability to handle a lot of population. It also has the chance for us to remove a lot of surface parking lots that really aren't contributing much to the tax rolls. So the hope is that if you can have a lot of real estate development and a lot of commerce and economic activity in that area, you can create tax revenues or increase tax revenues that would benefit the entire city.
But to bring it down to another level, if whether you're taking Uber, whether you're taking the Metro bus system, and you're going to a show downtown, you don't have to go all the way downtown. You could go to the West Terminus, say the Med Center, and get dropped off, and you could all night or all day, you could ride the streetcar and you could hit a lot of hot spots. So there's advantages. Yeah, I can see why someone's that if you spend all your time out in West Omaha, you may not understand the benefit for you, but there is a lot of benefit for everybody in Omaha.
I'll also kind of chime in here. You know, the city's talked a lot about a park once strategy. So essentially, let's just say you're going to go out, you're going to go enjoy the city, go to downtown, and you want to go to dinner first. You know, typically right now you go to dinner, you get back in your car, then you go down and see your show, or you go to your Creighton game downtown. Well, in this case, you'd be able to go to dinner, hop on the car, a streetcar, go down to whatever event or concert or anything you're going to go to, and then have a way to get back to your car and park strategically along the line instead of how Jeff said we've got a lot of different surface lots and a bunch of different ways to park now. This way you just have to park once. And so we're seeing a lot of people that have to park 2 or 3 times in a night when they want to go and enjoy downtown occasionally.
We appreciate the question, Donna. And now we're going to break for the news at the middle of the hour, but Ryan is on hold. So stay with us, Ryan. We know you have a question about downtown Elkhorn. After Ryan, the phone numbers, or the phone lines, if you will, are open. So 402-558-1110. You can ask us anything about Omaha growth and development. And 402-558-1110. We're going to take that middle of the hour break. You're listening to Jeff, Trenton, Brad, and Jorge on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in just a few minutes on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
This is Darcy.
Thanks for your help. Well, Ryan had already bailed when you asked him to stay.
Oh, really?
But hang on. A lot of times, people, if they know the show, know it's 5 minutes. I'll call back.
Okay. If not, leave him up because we can just talk about downtown Elkhorn if we want to.
I mean, it's not going to do much for this person at 180th and Pacific, and that's just the reality. You know?
Yeah,
but she could occasionally go enjoy.
And you know what?
You know,
it's not going to cost you anything either. You know, it's like with the way the system is designed.
Well, that's what I think people think.
Yeah.
They think, well, why are my taxes going up for people to
they're not.
ride a streetcar when they probably won't because they don't even ride the bus right now? You know, that's the main thing. But
I mean, I think the method they came up to pay with it is really
River in Colorado. Do you think anybody actually cares if anybody rides the streetcar?
No, it doesn't matter.
It's not about that.
I suspect a lot of people will because
eventually I think there'll be
But I don't really give a shit about that because I think the main thing is economic development and real estate development. Increase the tax base.
And I think that's what really it's all about in the end. And whether that's the right thing or not, I don't know.
We want people to move into an area of town where their infrastructure can handle it, and we want to build a lot of stuff, and we want more economic activity. It'll do all that, so we can get sales tax revenue.
I think one challenge is definitely going to be rents and market rate rents and where they're going.
They're going to be high.
We're going to displace a lot of people, most likely. And we got to be careful not to do that too much because some of these employers are going to, they're going to need workforce down there. And some people can't afford to spend $1,500 on a 1-bedroom.
And you want the workforce nearby.
And you want the workforce nearby so they can use the thing that you built, But I mean, anyway.
But I think it seems like we're moving more. Like Omaha's been moving more towards that setting aside affordable units and more projects.
And it's true. There's definitely a commitment there, but if the tools aren't there, we can't build them fast enough. And we only have TIF, and we only have LIHTC.
The incentives are.
And the incentives are. We need more, and we need to streamline the process to make it able to. I mean, the LIHTC process is so slow. Imagine trying to hold up a property under contract for 18 months. Not everybody can do that.
And then you may get it or you may not get it.
Or you may not, because you have to compete. Yeah.
So we got people in the legislature trying to mess with our TIF.
Exactly. So it's like
scary.
I get it. I'm not saying TIF is perfect, but geez, it's the only thing we have right now. You're trying to scale it back. Like, that's not a good thing.
I find a lot of people that are against TIF don't take the time to understand how it works. They think we're just handing out money.
Now, did I hear MUD's not necessarily on board with the MUD's not necessarily on board with the $16 million city?
They had to change it hard on Friday, was it? Thursday?
Was it? Okay, I might
When MUD agreed to pay $7 million or whatever.
Yeah, the thing I mentioned.
They settled on like $7 million.
Okay. And that's just to change infrastructure for the streetcar specifically.
Yeah.
Do you think places that don't use their parking lots a lot of time are going to be open to letting people park on their parking lots and use, like, is Mecca on a Monday morning when they have nothing going on going to let people park there and hop on the streetcar stop?
I guess I'd say, why wouldn't they?
It's a question whether they're going to charge for it.
They would charge probably the same $10 they do on the for
that's going to be a negative.
But then they don't
That's
have.
not bad for downtown.
They don't have people there normally, running the gates.
Yeah, but if they feel like
they could make.
If they feel like the number of people that would park there would exceed the hourly salary of the worker,
They can mechanize it.
Two people.
Can they have?
Well, if they do that, then it would work. Yeah.
Can they have an arm where they, a parking garage where you give it just $10 a credit card?
Yeah, they could switch to that. Or,
although it's expensive to put those in.
Because I was thinking,
They pay for themselves.
the Med Center doesn't use a lot of their parking on the weekends.
Yeah.
Which would be perfect.
Yeah.
Mecca doesn't use theirs during the weekdays.
Well, don't some people park on Clarkson College lots in the Blackstone at night? Don't some people do that?
They change the rules every once in a
they do?
while, so
Okay.
it's like kind of hard to figure out. And there's not a lot of spaces.
Yeah,
Really not.
yeah.
There's only like one or two of those little lots. The rest are preserved. You can't use them at night.
Because when I got the press release that those 300 mutual stalls were open, that's huge for Blackstone.
That's a big one, and I know everyone's really happy, especially like
Wally?
the new Switch camp, Blackstone.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're super happy about it because they're right next to it.
Yeah.
That came at a good time for them.
Like, I love going to all those restaurants at Blackstone, but and if it's nice weather, shit, I don't mind parking 4 or 5 blocks away and walking. But if it's like 2 days ago.
I saw the comments on Instagram. It was like, can't anything be free anymore? Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what you want. Like,
dude, you give your stuff away for free.
Exactly. I don't know. It's like
make more money.
That big parking lot.
And they're only charging $5 a day.
Yeah,
for it.
for a whole day.
All day.
Yeah, that's dirt cheap.
Behind the Crescent Moon.
Ain't making them no money the way it is now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're only charging $5, and people are like, could it be free?
But like when they have Oktoberfest,
$5
when they have Oktoberfest, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they can do Omaha Parks. They can do that.
Well, then presumably it's
do
going
that.
to get developed someday.
Yeah.
So it's like we're going to figure out what
the number of the spots.
Oh, Mecca? Yeah.
Are they going to put a
Hopefully when they redevelop that area, they
stall
vacate
machine
that
like we have
behind
hanging on the
Crescent
back of
Moon.
our building?
I don't know.
Redo that
Does
parking
anybody
lot
police your
just to
building?
make them a nice outdoors.
Anybody
place.
what?
Police your
This
building,
building?
the parking.
I never read somebody else. It's not us.
I never worry
We don't
about it, 'cause
own
I've
the
got
building.
I've got one of those stickers.
Yeah.
That the
So
KFB
you
employees
just-
will
yeah,
have.
yeah.
So I don't care about it, but
Neither do I.
I never got
the sticker.
you don't have a sticker. 40s
I did originally.
40s will get you one.
Oh yeah. What is this sticker?
Yeah, 40s will get you a sticker. I can hook you up with 40s. I have his phone number.
Now CHI used to patrol their corner pretty hard. You go to a doctor's appointment there.
Oh, right up here?
Yeah, right on the
Yeah,
corner.
yeah.
You get out of the car and they're like, "What are you doing here?" I've got a doctor's appointment. Okay.
What's the name of your doctor?
And by the way, Ryan did call back. He just dropped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, he's back? Okay. And we got Wally. Oh, there's Wally. More streetcar stuff.
Yep. You know what? He's
I
gonna
think
complain.
I could tell that like our answers probably triggered like 100 people.
Yeah.
People don't understand it's not all about them though. It's about keeping young people here and.
I mean, I could
They
also,
don't care.
the alternative is like when I was in St. Louis. I mean, downtown was really
Here we
not
go.
good.
Here we go.
It's worse now in some ways.
Ready, Jack?
Download our free
Opening up your
iHeartRadio
gum tree.
music, radio, and podcasts.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid sitting in the KFAB studio high above Underwood Avenue. We are joined today by Brad Williams of Brad Williams Photography and E&A Consulting, as well as Jorge Sotalongo from NAI NP Dodge, also a member of the Omaha City Planning Board. It's the call-in show, 402-558-1110. Get your questions ready, 402-558-1110, and we will take our best stab at your questions and comments. Before we go to Ryan and Wally, who are the next two on the docket for calls, we got to stop for our real estate development spotlight of the week, which is brought to you by Noddle Companies. We love Noddle Companies. They're premier developer here in the Omaha area. I mean, goodness gracious, Rivers Edge and Council Bluffs, Steel Ridge and Gretna Papillion. You've got the Builders District in North Downtown. You've got the Village Point West Medical Campus by Village Point Shopping Center, and of course, Exarban Village. And by the way, I've got some friends that just moved to Omaha about a year ago from Kansas City, and they called me and said, "Hey, let's go get together for dinner and catch up." So we did that, and we went to Exarban Village and had dinner at Herb Sant, and they had never been there before. They loved it, thought it was great. But here's the news we have for Exarban Village. We've got a new retailer. It's called the Candle House, Nebraska. And it is a do-it-yourself experience where you can blend your own custom candle fragrance from 100-plus scent options. The experience is very fun. It's interactive. If you're looking for a date night, take her to the Candle House or girls' night out, company outings, anything like that. It's very cool, but it's actually in the HDR headquarters building. There was recently a new place that opened up right on the southwest corner of that building called the 308 Boutique. This is directly north of that. So on the west side of the building toward the south by the 308 Boutique, new business in Exarban Village called the Candle House. And it's brought to you by Noddle Companies. You can learn more about Noddle Companies and all of their Omaha developments and the work they do around the country by simply going to noddlecompanies.com. All right, Ryan has been waiting the longest for the call-in show. Good morning, Ryan, and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I had a question about old downtown Elkhorn on like 205th, and it goes down, if you're familiar with Elkhorn or anything, like the main strip is one way, and then you head up a hill and you hit 205th, and on the corner there's this old building where everybody's kids have had their pictures taken for senior year. It's like an old saloon that's in, but somebody's redoing it, and we want to know what's going in there. If you guys have any insight.
You know, I don't know if we know that one exactly.
I can look it up. I mean, we can pull up the building permits here after the show and put something on our social media for you.
And I'm not surprised to hear that because there's so much activity. You had the Elkhorn Station building, which opened recently, really cool mixed-use building. You've got some multifamily units kind of around the corner from that, just a little bit southwest of Jukes Ale Works. You had the patio open on the wine place up the hill. So it's only a matter of time. I think you're going to get more and more stuff like what you're describing there, Ryan.
Ryan, what else do you want to see out there?
I'd like to see another, like a better coffee shop.
Yeah, Omaha doesn't have enough coffee shops.
There's so much eclectic in that area. I don't know. I just like to see more shops and more nightlife, I guess.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate it. Brad has volunteered to look that site up, and we appreciate you calling in. Okay, so now let's go to Wally. Good morning, Wally, and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show.
Good morning. Hey, how about running that trolley car west on Farnham, south on Saddle Creek, and east on Leavenworth, and just make a big circle, and a lot of activity coming on the east, west side of Saddle Creek here pretty soon, and spread it out a little bit, you know.
Okay, go. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
I'd like to see them use them old trolleys like they got in San Francisco.
I think you bring up a great point. Can we expand this thing? And, you know, as I look at it, you mentioned Saddle Creek. And instead of going back on Leavenworth, what I'd like to see is have that thing go to Saddle Creek and then take that all the way out to Exarban Village. But who knows? I mean, the various types of places you could circulate that thing through urban Omaha. If the first route takes off, I imagine there are a lot of potential options for growth.
Absolutely.
Well, I see coming back east on Harney Street. Harney Street's kind of a screwed up street. I mean, it's not a nice thoroughfare like Leavenworth. It's a lot of, you want to bring Leavenworth alive. Look at the apartment buildings they're putting up on Leavenworth. So I thought make a little bit bigger circle and make use of that make a bigger route. Anyway, get your guys' idea and kick the idea around. Tell Jay Noddle. Give us some thought.
Okay, well,
We'll do
Wally, we appreciate the call, and we will definitely pass that on to Jay Noddle. And I think you do bring up some cool ideas that there's a lot of room for growth if this thing is as successful as we think.
And he's talking about growing Leavenworth Street. The TOD zoning is Leavenworth Street is close enough to the streetcar line that it qualifies for the TOD zoning. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it would probably add to Leavenworth Street, but it's already going to have an effect on Leavenworth Street.
Because what is it, like 3 or 4 blocks either direction of the streetcar line?
Yeah, the city's mapped out like quite a nice zone around the whole route, and they've done a lot of analysis on how property values are going to be impacted, and then of course they're driving development, and it's going to be impacted. Leavenworth certainly will be.
Okay, we're going to take our final break of the hour. Bruce is up next. So, Bruce, we're going to save time for your call when we come back. And we're also going to do the Turner Construction Lightning Round. Got a bunch of restaurant news for everyone. So stay with us. You're listening to Jeff, Trenton, Brad, and Jorge on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Have you, that's not right. You done the video, by the way.
No.
When I first heard it, I was like, oh.
I never mentioned. I was kind of dying because he reminds me of the guy, that old man from Family Guy. That's like, nope. You remember that old guy from Family Guy? That's like, I got some popsicles down in the basement.
I was gonna.
I was like, I kind of reminded me of that.
I liked what he was saying.
I think it's true.
I thought the conversation was a completely different direction.
When he paused, I almost said, Wally, you still with us?
You know, it's kind of interesting to see, though. Like,
I'm glad I like guys like that.
Yeah. Well, these are guys. These are people that remember and heard a lot about the network that we used to have.
He might have ridden
pretty amazing.
The old streetcar made it all the way to Exarban.
I think he sounds older than my dad. My dad rode the streetcar all the time when he was a kid.
No, honestly, he brought up a good thing. He just sounded exactly like this character.
Yeah.
I was like kind of dying laughing.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
South O too was like.
But I think
all these. Trolley cars would go up and down every day.
His particular route was maybe a little too close, but
sure.
If this thing works, there are places where I think it would really.
Well, and now there's so many alternate forms of mobility that like you can get from Leavenworth to the streetcar really fast if you've got a bicycle or a scooter or something anyway.
What if you did? Okay, I could see a route someday where the current line goes down Saddle Creek and out to Exarban Village.
I would say to center.
You shoot one up to 24th and Lake. You shoot one down 13th Street to the zoo, and you shoot another route up to Epley. And then you have the orbit doing that 24th Street thing that they talked about. And then I think an orbit someday from Sorensen Park Plaza in North Omaha to Shadow Lake Town Center Papillion along the 72nd
It would be great if
corridor.
this $300 million streetcar, like people started using it, and then they just take buses and they make it so you can't see the wheels on them and make them look like a streetcar, and then they fucking use it so you don't have to put in $1 billion worth of tracks around Omaha.
I know. They're like, you know, these people are all about the tracks, you know. They're like wheel phobic, you know. It's like if it's
There's
a
no-
wheel,
yeah, there's no
they're like,
utilitarian
no one's
value.
gonna invest if it's a wheel. And it's like,
Hey, the tracks look cool. That's why I like it.
Yeah, that's what is this thing that actually look cool? That's what I want. The actual train.
And it's the lightning round brought to you by Turner Construction. We love Turner Construction because they are a world-class contractor that here in Omaha is like just one of the local companies doing big projects, medium projects, little projects. Turner Construction is doing the big Sarpy County data center along Highway 50. But then you drive around and you see all these Chase Bank branches popping up here and there. Turner Construction everywhere. And such a great company to work for. Such a great company for contributing to our community, and thank you for Turner for making this all possible. I got Trenton Magid holding his D&M Roofing and Siding Cup right there, Omaha's top roofing company. Sitting next to him is Brad Williams, and then we've got Jorge Sotolongo. And we're going to get to Bruce's call here in a minute, but we have some lightning round topic items. Got some cool restaurant news for you stuff already. Fasten your seatbelts. Here goes. A lot of things on the list. 2 new restaurants coming to Nebraska Crossing at Interstate 80 and Highway 31 in Gretna. First of all, B&G's Tasties. Remember 78th and Dodge? They were there until they closed a few years ago. They are going to open in the former local restaurant space at Nebraska Crossing. Targeted date of June 1st. They're actually going to put a drive-through. They're going to fit a drive-through in there in addition to the seating that will still be in the space. So B&G's at Nebraska Crossing. At the same development, Frank's Pizzeria is going to open an express location May 1st right near the Under Armour store. And by the way, Trent and I are going to be broadcasting live from Nebraska Crossing on March 11th to celebrate the new Yeti store that's opening there. A couple other items of note. Wine, Beer, and Spirits will open an urban location next month on the southeast corner of 11th and Jones Street in the Old Market. 6,500 square foot space. Used to be a brewery. Thunderhead Brewing, yeah. Wonton John's, which has been voted the #1 food truck in Omaha, is opening a bricks and mortar location in an old bakery space behind the former Jane's Market in downtown Benson. El Toro Goes opened last week at 95th and Q, locally owned restaurant that serves cuisine from El Salvador, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Backyard Elotes plans to open March 1st, 168th and Q in Mission Village. Elote is a Mexican street corn, kind of a corn on the cob thing with a lot of seasoning and spices, really good. Clean Juice plans to open at 2575 South 171st Court in the Lakeside development. Clean Juice just opened a store recently, One Pacific Place. Smoothies, juices, organic wrap sandwiches, healthy stuff. Speaking of health, Elite Nutrition is opening a second location at its first franchised store at 2437 South 132nd Street in Orchard Plaza. This has vitamins, supplements, meal planning, what they call body transformation programs. The original location for Elite Nutrition is at 2551 South 177th Plaza, basically 177th and West Center Road. Haji Fashions plans to open soon in a 1,000 square foot space near 120th and Blondo. This is actually owned by someone from Afghanistan. It's a boutique retailer that actually sell Afghan clothing for a very growing number of Afghans who live in Omaha. And finally, a little bit of bad news. Best Bison, a local restaurant featuring bison meat and burgers, as well as bison salads, bison everything, will close permanently, or did close permanently yesterday at 163 North 78th Street. All right, fellas, we promised Bruce. You waited till the very end. Bruce, let's hear your question.
Yes, I'd like to know what's happening to that building that was built, I think it's Amazon, on I-680 South and 72nd Street.
Yes, Bruce is referring to a last-mile warehouse between 150,000 and 200,000 square feet, right at 72nd and State. And guys, this is a case where Amazon was doing things maybe to be ahead of the game. They built that warehouse before they needed it. And from what we have heard, it's probably going to sit there for a little while until Amazon decides that the business volume necessitates activating it. But from everything we know, it's ready to go. It's done. And it's basically waiting for Amazon to push the button.
And nationally, they did have slowing down. And during the pandemic, they thought the pandemic was going to go on a lot longer for the projections, but they're sitting on a lot of real estate.
Well, yeah, and Amazon was slow to open the massive regional data center at Highways 50 and 370. That's the one that's like a couple million square feet. What did I say?
You said data center.
Oh, we talk about data centers so much down that area. My apologies. Yeah, distribution center. That's the real big one. That thing, was a half year later? Sat there for about a half year before they actually activated it. And then they have another one in Council Bluffs that I believe is about 275,000 square feet.
Street, I just drove by that yesterday. I think that's also dormant. Is that right, Jeff?
Yeah, or if it is, they're just about to start it. I know it's been done for a long time. So like Trenton said, they built these things before they needed them. And, Amazon's going to keep growing. So they're going to use them eventually.
As a guy who does a lot of industrial deals, it'd be awesome if they opened up some of those, at least for the next 3 years or 5 years. We could really use the industrial space.
Yeah, my guess is with Amazon, like for instance, Amazon at one point in time with the big regional distribution one that we're referring to on Highway 50, they said, it might be a year or two. Then all of a sudden it was just a few months. So I think things change for those guys so fast, which is probably the problem with opening it up. They just don't know when they might need it. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. Bruce, thank you so much for the call. That was a good one. That was a good one for us to end on. But Trent and I will say before we go real fast, the industrial stuff still remains crazy, even though there have been some, little slowdowns economically. There's no slowdown in the need for industrial real estate space in this
town. But we're
town.
seeing land selling right now. Retail. I was doing a retail search. It's hard to find good retail locations too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then office space, if you look at the vacancy space, you would think there would be all sorts of office space around. Office vacancy is in the single digits now. It's below 10, which who would have guessed that would be the case, in late 2020 and early 2021 when people were saying the new normal is no one's going to go to the office anymore. Well, that's not true.
And the truth is we're still trying to figure that out.
We are. And I've seen a big renewed interest in office on the sale side as well, not just leasing. So I think there's a lot of activity.
There's a lot of money in our market. Medical groups that want to buy buildings. Some people just want to lease, but there's still a lot of people that want to buy, and they know how expensive it is to build. So if a building comes up for sale, which I've got a 27,000 square foot building if anyone needs one near 120th and West Dodge Road.
Well, and guys with office, you got to remember, too, that people are using office space as a recruiting tool to get employees. So, yeah, you may not have as many.
Are you sick of your spouse?
You may not have as many absolute numbers of people going into the office, but they'll say, we have more workspace and we have this amenity and this massage room and game room and video room and free food and everything else and movie room. So a lot of these companies are taking space for amenities to try and attract their employees.
I mean, don't forget Mutual's building a tower knowing full well that they're going to be doing a hybrid model.
Amen. And that's the last word. That's it for this week. You've been listening to Grow Omaha. I want to thank Jorge Sotolongo and Brad Williams for joining us. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Jorge from NAINP Dodge and Brad from Brad Williams Photography. That's it for this week. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Maggin.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing, and Turner Construction on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.